Yo, what is good, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to Knicks Media. This is Richie. In this video, let's go over the roster. The New York Knicks offseason seems like it is over, but there still could be some moves on the horizon, like trading some players away or bringing in some players or signing other players that are still available in free agency. I recently just uploaded my video when I broke down all the offseason moves, and now in this video, I want to talk about the players on paper heading into this season and talk about the starting five, potentially the starting bench. What is the rotation going to be like with this New York Knicks team? And is this a roster that should get Knicks fans excited for this upcoming season in the NBA? So before I hop into the video, I just want to mention, if you guys are new to Knicks Media, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me out to my 10,000 subscriber goal. I would really greatly appreciate that. And of course, do not forget to like the video if you guys are enjoying, and comment down below your thoughts of the New York Knicks roster on paper heading into this upcoming season. I'm really excited to get into this video. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So obviously this is all projections. I have no idea who's going to be the starting five, because Tom Thibodeau can do whatever he wants. He can change his mind. People can come into training camp and prove to him that I deserve to be in the starting five, or vice versa. I don't deserve to be in the rotation. So I feel like this is a way too early prediction for me to really talk about these players. But at the same time, the New York Knicks offseason is coming to an end, and I really want to talk about my thoughts of this whole roster after the New York Knicks move in the offseason. So starting off with the starting five, I do feel like that this cannot be it. This is just my projection. I have a feeling that Evan Fournier could, number one, potentially be traded, or he could be coming off the bench. But just a hypothetical in this scenario, I'm just going to slot in Evan Fournier as a starting two guy in this video, just because I don't know if that's going to be the case. We heard Ian Begley out of SNY even say that don't be shocked if Evan Fournier comes off the bench, because there are some coaches with the New York Knicks that are a little concerned of the defensive backcourt of Jalen Brunson and Evan Fournier. So maybe what are they going to do? Slot in Quentin Grimes as a starter, slot in quickly as a starter next to Brunson? We will see. But if we look at the starting five on paper, I have Brunson, Fournier, Barrett, Randall, and Robinson as the five going into the season with the starter. So, when it comes to the starting five and how they play all together, that'll be very interesting. We have Jalen Brunson, who's going to be the brand new point guard to the New York Knicks. His first season coming off that crazy contract we gave him, 4 years, $104 million. I really do feel like Jalen Brunson is going to be a player that wins over Knicks fans right away. I feel like his play style, his tenacity, his physicality, his mindset, his demeanor, his energy is going to really resonate with Knicks fans. He kind of has that Knicks in him. You can tell that he plays with a little edge to him, where he has confidence, he has swagger, he has that body type where he bullies people down low. I love that. I love having a point guard that can have a low post game, that can go into the paint and do some little fadeaways, and that can lower shoulder a little bit and get a little physical at the guard, get it back to the old school days. But I do feel like Jalen Brunson as a starting point guard is going to be really help out this team. The entire lineup is going to be better with Jalen Brunson out there. If you think about all the starting point guards we've had in recent memories, you go 2 years ago, we had Elfrid Payton. Last year, we had a washed-up Kemba / a veteran Alec Burks, who's not even a traditional point guard, and we're still running with him as a point guard. So Knicks fans should be excited to have a guy in Jalen Brunson to be finally given the opportunity to run the show, because we know that for him in Dallas, he was never given that opportunity because of Luka Doncic being the primary ball handler, being the superstar that Luka is. Jason Kidd didn't really want to put the ball in Jalen Brunson's hands primarily because he has a generational superstar in Luka Doncic, and now that's why Jalen Brunson wanted to leave Dallas and come to the New York Knicks, because we can give him the keys to run the show, facilitate the offense, set up RJ Barrett, set up Randall, maybe take the pressure off those two guys and be that slasher and be that floor general that the Knicks have been desperately looking for in a long time. And then Evan Fournier, obviously last year he's coming off an historical season for the Knicks in terms of breaking the franchise record for the most threes by any player in Knicks history. But we know that Evan Fournier is a little liability on the defensive side of the ball. So that's where it's kind of like the balance with Evan Fournier that I have. I really do love his offensive repertoire. I love his ability to be a playmaker, be a guy that can stretch the floor, be a guy that can create his own shot. He's not relying on just catch and shoot opportunities. He can get the ball in his hands, put the ball on the floor, attack the paint. He is not as consistent as I would like him to be, especially last year with the Knicks. There were some times where he was ice cold, but when he's hot, he is absolutely electric. So if Evan Fournier is a starter, or even if he's on the team, we do not trade him away. I just hope that he can take a little step defensively. He's not a terrible defender. He does get some steals. He does get into, some passing lanes and create some turnovers, but his on-ball defense and his switching, in the Tom Thibodeau system, he's a little liability. I think every Knicks fan can agree with that. So we will see what the Knicks do with Evan Fournier. And when it comes to RJ Barrett, RJ Barrett is that guy that Knicks fans are waiting for him to just develop as his career goes. I mean, he's going into year number 4, and I think there's no reason why the Knicks fans should not expect RJ to take another leap. You know, last year he finished off averaging 20 points per game flat. He started off the season really rough. He was not playing good basketball in his first couple weeks, and then all of a sudden the year 2022 comes around, January 1st, and then from then on he's averaging around 23.5 points per game, putting up 46-point games, putting up like 35, 35, 40. I mean, he went through a span where he just did not put up 20 points, and that's how we got his season average all the way up to 20 points per game. RJ Barrett still has a lot of things to improve on. His finishing at the rim, his free throw shooting, his mid-range jump shot, his shot creation. He's not a finished product, and I think Knicks fans understand that. He's 22 years old, and he's that player that's going to become the face of the New York Knicks. Expect RJ Barrett to get an extension with the Knicks eventually. Not sure when that's going to happen, but if RJ Barrett takes that step, I really feel like this Knicks team is really going to be fun to watch and actually competing for a play-in tournament or a playoff spot. I really feel like RJ Barrett is an X factor here, because if he can become that guy, become the face of the Knicks, become an all-star for this team that we drafted with the 3rd overall pick back in 2019, it's only going to benefit everyone around him, and it's only going to help out this Knicks team long term. So I cannot wait to see what RJ Barrett does this season. And the Julius Randle, I know that this is a very interesting player for the New York Knicks because he's coming off a disappointing season. You know, Julius Randle has a very interesting career so far with the Knicks. Year number 1 with the Knicks, disappointment. Nobody really liked Julius. We drafted Obi Toppin, and we thought that he was going to be the guy to take over him. And then that season, Julius Randle goes off. Most improved player of the year, All-NBA second team, All-Star, and Knicks fans fall in love with him. I mean, he became the face of the Knicks that season, and then he falls apart in the playoffs that year. And then going into his 3rd season with the Knicks, we know what happened. He just did not step up. He was not the all-star that we fell in love with a year ago. He was not the playmaker. He was turning the ball over. His energy was not there. His demeanor, his thumbing down the crowd. There's a lot of things that Julius Randle did to tick off Knicks fans, and I totally understand that. But this is a really good opportunity for Julius Randle to do the same thing he did, you know, when he had his first season with the Knicks. Disappointment. He went into the offseason, went into the lab, went crazy in the gym, and then comes out there and has that crazy season that he did. Now he's having another disappointing season. Going into the offseason, I feel like Julius Randle is going to put in a lot of work, and I'm not saying he's going to break out again and become an all-star, but with the addition of Jalen Brunson, I do feel like Julius Randle is not going to have to worry about being the number one playmaker, being the number 1 option. I feel like it's going to free things up for Julius Randle potentially to have a decent season this year, because it doesn't really seem like the Knicks are going to be moving on from Julius Randle trade-wise right now. I know that a lot of Knicks fans would prefer Julius Randle to be traded off before the season, so it'll open things up for Obi Toppin, but I just can't say with a straight face that I see that happening. Not saying I'm with it or against it. I just don't see that happening right now. And then Mitchell Robinson coming off a 4-year, $60 million contract that he just got from the Knicks this offseason. I'm excited to see what he can do, man. Mitchell Robinson's been getting better and better each year. He's putting on weight. He's getting agile. He is hitting the gym. He's blocking shots. You know, we know what Mitchell Robinson brings to the table, and there's no reason why we cannot expect him to take another leap for the Knicks this season, especially if he's staying healthy. And then if you want to get into the bench for the Knicks, this is the bench unit that I got. Obviously, it's hard to choose who's going to be out of the rotation, who's going to be in the rotation, but this is just my projection. We got Derrick Rose, Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, Obi Toppin, and Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, the players that you come up with right away that's out of the rotation: Cam Reddish, Deuce McBride, Jericho Sims, Trevor Keels, and Taj Gibson. I don't feel like I don't want Cam Reddish out of the rotation at all. I prefer Cam Reddish to play, but I just feel like Quentin Grimes might have the upper hand on him because of his defensive ability, and Tom Thibodeau really seems like he loves Quentin Grimes' game, and it'll be really hard for Quentin Grimes, their first-round pick 2 seasons ago, to not get in the rotation. So when it comes to this bench unit, I really like the dynamic with D. Rose and Quickley being the backcourt. We know that they have chemistry. We know that Grimes going to year number 2 is going to be a player that's going to be that 3-and-D guy. 3-and-D guy. Obi Toppin. Now, Obi Toppin is a player that I'm expecting to break out this year, and this is going to be really interesting to see how the New York Knicks go about the rotations and the minutes. Is Julius Randle going to be playing 38, 40 minutes a game and only giving Obi Toppin 15 minutes a game? Or are they going to split the load? Is Tom Thibodeau going to give Julius Randle and Obi Toppin an opportunity to play together on the court? Are they going to give Obi Toppin some minutes at the 3 maybe, just so he can get on the court? Because it's really frustrating that Obi Toppin is like a budding potential breakout player on the Knicks that's just on the bench and not getting meaningful minutes. So let's hope that Tom Thibodeau lets Obi Toppin fly. Let him go out there and not feel like he has to make a mistake in order to get out of the game, because we saw at the end of the season last year when Obi Toppin went on the court and Julius Randle was injured, he didn't have to worry about potentially getting, yanked out of the game if he made a mistake. He played freely and he's dropping a 40-point game. He's dropping 30 points. He's dropping 25. He averaged 16 points per game in the final 15 games of the season. So Obi Toppin is a very interesting player to see what his role is going to be with the Knicks this season. And then D Rose, he's a very big X factor this year, man. I really feel like if Derrick Rose can stay healthy, that's only going to benefit this team. I really feel like it's an underrated thing that happened to the Knicks last year with Derrick Rose going down with that injury. He's a big piece to the Knicks winning, especially that 4th seed run with the Knicks. We traded for him. All of a sudden, the Knicks with Derrick Rose was just a different level. He was that orchestrator. He was calming things down. He's that veteran presence on the court. So let's hope that Derrick Rose is healthy and can play this year. Emmanuel Quickley going into year number 3 as well. I feel like at the end of the season last year, he was really breaking out. He had a really tough start to his sophomore campaign, but if he can continue developing, I would not be shocked if Emmanuel Quickley is a player that is a potential breakout 6th Man of the Year runner, because I don't know if he's going to start. I would love for him to get to the starting lineup because I love Quickley. I feel like his potential in this league is a starting guard, but if he's coming off the bench and becomes that 6th Man of the Year role, I'm all for it. Not saying he's going to win 6th Man of the Year, but he definitely has potential to do that if he continues to be consistent this season. And then Isaiah Hartenstein being the backup center, this is a player that Knicks fans are going to fall in love with. He's going to become that fan favorite, the guy that knocks down threes, sets up his teammates, plays defense. He's young, he's athletic, he can run the floor, he has really good vision. And I feel like Isaiah Hartenstein is a player that I'm really excited to see. And then the other 5 players that are out of the rotation potentially, right? This is not set in stone. This is my projections. Cam Reddish, Deuce, Jericho Sims, Trevor Keels, and Taj. Talking about Jericho Sims real quick, him being the 3rd string center, okay, I do prefer Sims get out there on the court, but it's obvious that Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein are going to play over him, which is okay, but it's not like Jericho Sims is not going to be getting any minutes. He's 100% going to be on the court and be playing ball with the New York Knicks this season. Taj Gibson, that's another interesting player. Are we going to go into this season with 4 centers, or are they going to move on from Taj Gibson and free up some cap space and bring in another veteran? And when it comes to Trevor Keels, I do expect him to be more of a Westchester Knicks type of guy this year. If we get plethora of injuries, if everybody goes down, let's hope that does not happen, then that's how Trevor Keels is going to crack the rotation. And then these 2 players are interesting because I would prefer both of them to be getting minutes. I would prefer both of these players to be in the rotation every single game, but we know that Tom Thibodeau is not going to run a 12-man rotation. He's going to do a 9 or 10-man. So Cam Reddish, starting off with him, we obviously traded for him this past season. And, it felt like Tom Thibodeau wasn't a big fan of Cam Reddish. I don't know what that was. I don't know. It felt like Leon Rose traded for him, and then Tom Thibodeau didn't really want him there. It felt like a weird dynamic. So I would love Cam Reddish to get playing time more than anybody else. And I feel like this is a really big opportunity for him in the offseason to go into training camp and prove to the coaching staff that he's a player that has his mind in the game. He's developing, and you need to play me. Because I think Cam Reddish has all-star potential in the NBA. It's that simple. When he was drafted, people were comparing him to Paul George. People were like, Cam Reddish has a lot of potential in this league. And on the Atlanta Hawks, he never really got an opportunity to play. And then when he did get an opportunity to play last season, he was going crazy. He had a 30-point game. He was looking good. And then he comes to the Knicks. We don't give him an opportunity to play. So I would prefer Cam Reddish to actually crack the rotation. But let me know your thoughts. Where would Cam Reddish fit into this rotation? Who's a player that you would rather him play over? But that's where I go back to Evan Fournier. If the Knicks want to trade away Evan Fournier, get off his contract, that frees up Cam Reddish to play. That frees up either Cam Reddish to be in the starting rotation. It could be Grimes as a starter, Quickley as a starter, but that will free up Cam Reddish. And then quickly talking about Deuce McBride, Deuce McBride is a player that I feel like has so much potential in the NBA. We saw him show flashes when he did play in the NBA, and whenever he went to the G League, he was dominating. It was like, okay, you don't belong in the G League, Deuce. You need to be in the NBA. You need to be playing basketball with the New York Knicks, not the Westchester Knicks. But he's definitely not going to be in that rotation unless there is injuries. But at the same time, depth is a good thing to have, guys. If one of Jalen Brunson or D Rose or Quickley or any of these guards goes down, I got confidence with Deuce McBride stepping in there and being part of the rotation. Not everybody can play. Not everybody's going to be in the 10-man rotation. But the good thing that I'm looking at this roster right now is all the players that are going to be depth pieces. The people that are not in the rotation initially, if anybody goes down, there's injuries. Injuries happen, unfortunately. It's part of the game. I got confidence in the players to step in for those players if any injuries go their way, unfortunately. So let me know your thoughts of the potential New York Knicks roster heading into the season. There could be moves happening in the next couple of days or a couple couple weeks, a trade, getting rid of Fournier, signing another free agent. There's a lot of things that the New York Knicks could do even after I make this video before the season begins. But I would love to hear what you guys have to say down below in the comments of your thoughts of the Knicks roster heading into the season. Like the video if you guys enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Let's go Knicks. Peace out.